click for biology, eukaryotic cell structure. This time we're going to be taking a look at fungal cells. Fungal cells are eukaryotic because inside of them their DNA, their nuclear material, is held inside a membrane-bound nucleus. Let's take a look at those eukaryotic fungal cells. Now, in fact, fungal cells can be found as unicellular fungus, and this would be true of the familiar yeast that we know of. So these are single cells. They have a true nucleus like so, and that contrasts with other types of what we call filamentous fungi. So a filament is a thread, and here we have an example of fungal Hypha, which is the filamentous fungi, and these individual cells here are forming threads like so, and you can see that they actually include a branching pattern like so. So many different types of fungi. Some are unicellular and others form filaments, and sometimes those filaments form dense networks, and those networks are called mycelium. If we look at the unicellular fungi, such as the yeast, we can look at the structures which make fungal cells unique amongst the eukaryotes, and we begin with the structure of the cell wall. So like plant cells, fungal cells have a cell wall. However, the substance of which that cell wall is made is chitin, very different to plants, which are cellulose. Stored inside the fungal cell is not starch like in plants, but just like animals, is glycogen. Now, glycogen is a chain, a polymer of glucose molecules with a little bit of branching involved. This is the same as animals. So the cell wall is made of chitin, which makes them different. They store glycogen, and just like plants, many unicellular yeasts actually have what looks like a vacuole as well. Here's a photographic image of some of the fungal yeast cells which are there. Of course, the yeast cells are involved in many processes, industrial processes such as brewing and baking. Within the cell are all the common features that we find, such as the nucleus here. We have mitochondria here, and of course ribosomes for protein synthesis here, and the cytoplasm is here like so. The cell membrane inside the wall, which is controlling how stuff goes into and out of that cell. The cytoplasm is where all the complex chemistry of the yeast cell takes place. As mentioned before, the cells in filamentous algae form chains of cells, and sometimes we've got a difference. What we call septate is where we've got individual cells like so, and so the fungal cells just simply seem to be making threads or filaments, as indeed they're named. And we see we've got a photograph here of what that looks like. However, there is also what we call aseptate. Septa is a wall that separates, and so aseptate fungi, which is illustrated here, the end walls have broken down, and this has the interesting effect that we might have two or more adjacent fungal cells like so. So we're forming the hyphal thread, and the cytoplasm is continuous between the adjacent cells. And another feature of aseptate fungi is that they can be multinucleated, which makes them kind of different to the majority of cells. Multinucleated is also a feature actually of muscle cells. So aseptate is slightly different. These types of fungus are involved in decomposition. They break down the dead remains of other organisms, plants and animals. They grow mycelium through those dead structures. The hyphae and the mycelium networks are also very, very common in soil. And in fact, some of the networks of mycelium are absolutely vast. And in a particular case, you have the honey funguses of the Oregon region of the United States, considered by some to be the largest living thing on Earth. The size of the mycelium network is something like 3.5 square miles, or 2,000. It's about 2,800 acres of land, and the mass has been estimated at something like 35,000 tons, which is absolutely enormous network, which operates through the soil network there. Okay, let's take some quick questions on fungus. About 3 minutes required for this. Once you've got your answers written down, look into the description of the video and you'll find the answers there so you can check your progress. And once you've checked your progress, you can progress to here, where you have the links to the playlists, to the channel where you can subscribe, and indeed to the next video. And perhaps you've just got enough time to give us a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video.